Dude, this is the best time of the year. I know guys out there, their wives or fiancés are planning weddings, I should say, and they're sad. But for those of us that are already married and don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, best time of the year. College football starting, NFL football starting, baseball playoffs are about to start. And you're going to have basketball starting in October. This is the best time of the year by far.
And of course, Sean, this is your thing. You love betting, right?
I do. This is the best time of the year listening.
So this is the best time of the year to sports betting or fantasy football, whichever you choose to do.
I do both. I'm in a fantasy football league, and I'm also doing sports betting. For me, it just makes the whole weekend excitable. When you bet even little amounts on games, you're watching 10 games a day, and it just makes the whole weekend just that much more exciting.
And Kim, for those who are wondering, you see all the rules and it says in the state of Texas, sports betting is not allowed. It's not legal. How do people get around that?
Well, you're going to have to ask Sean because that's not beyond what I can. I'm on the other side. Like, I don't do betting, but I think.
Well, Kim, when it comes to sports betting and fantasy football, is it a distraction at work? Because people do it at work too.
Well, it's not for me because I think now sometimes people, because they know I cover sports, will say, hey, I need you to help me with my team. And I used to have a fantasy team. It was very time consuming. And running my own business and covering all these sports, I just didn't have time to do fantasy sports anymore. So I tell people, you can follow what I cover and make your own decisions about it. But that whole fantasy world, as Sean can tell you, it's a whole world. And those people get angry if their players are not performing up to par. So it itself is a sport, okay?
You know what I love about
every day you have to check to see if they're hurt or injured. You got to change your lineup. I mean, it is a lot of work. And sometimes you just forget. Life goes on. You forget. Next thing you know, you realize one of your star players isn't even playing that weekend. He's on a bye. Now you lose all those points. So it is time consuming for sure.
Kim mentioned that people get angry about it. And this is what I love about 2024 with social media is you have all these people that play fantasy football and they get so mad that they get on Twitter or social media and they will tweet a player and be like, hey man, I can't believe you missed that catch or you didn't do that. And the best part is the player will clap back and be like, bro, I don't care about your fantasy team, man. Oh, it's the best. I love that so much. That didn't happen, 15, 20 years ago. And then they're like, oh, bro, I'm sorry, man. I'm a big fan. No, you're not. Shut up. You were mad you lost.
Because the fantasy world and the regular world of sports are not necessarily the same. A player that performs well in a fantasy sport, depending on which league you're in and what kind of stats they keep, may not necessarily be a guy that's doing good for his team in the real world. So it's a lot. It's pretty amazing though.
There was actually a study that suggested or shows that more people are now focused on sports betting, fantasy football, putting money into that instead of the real stock market.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's insane to me.
That's pretty risky.
Since those sports betting organizations have spent so much money with sponsorships, right? Once the league were like, no, we don't believe in betting, but we will take your money. You organizations that do betting, you can be big sponsors and pay millions and millions of dollars to our leagues. I think it's increased even more because of the visibility of it. So yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, and Sean, for those who are not familiar and not know a lot about sports, should they even approach fantasy football or any type of fantasy sport or sports betting? Do you need to get educated? Do you need to beef up on your knowledge before you touch those games?
For fantasy football, I'd say yes. There's a lot of resources out there that can help you with creating mock drafts and understanding the types of leagues you might be in because they're all a little different with points and stuff like that. There's a lot of resources out there that can help you get started in that. With the betting goes, you can sit there and look at all the history and all the stats for a game, but sometimes you just go with your gut. You just want your team to win, put a little money on it, make it more exciting.
All right, and Sean,
there's a reason casinos make so much money. It is. I just need people to know this, Isaiah.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. This is what's crazy when it comes to gambling on sports. If you win 54% of the time, you're considered some of the best of the best. I
Really?
need people to know that. Yeah,
not designed for you to
that's
win.
elite if you win 54% of the time. The system is rigged for you to lose money. So don't gamble if you think you're going to make a career out of it and be rich. Gamble because, like Sean said, you
It's
just
a
want to put some scratch on the game and have an extra interest in it and make it fun. You're not going to get rich gambling. That's what the casinos do. That's what the books do.
Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. And of course, be cautious out there for fantasy football and sports betting if you don't know what you're doing, right, Kim?
You better ask somebody. Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us here on The
Thank
Factor
you.
Uncensored. We appreciate your time tonight.